I buy a lot of tat from China. I was actually looking back at my purchase history, and for those couple of months after realising that my cancer had come back, I bought nothing. No clothes, no camping gear, no guitar strings, no tools, nothing. It wasn't a conscious decision, but I suppose I was thinking, what's the point? What's the point of buying new things that can only be used for a couple of months? Cancer is a nasty disease. It messes with your body and it messes with your head too. And once you have had a tumour removed, there's this constant worry in the back of your mind that it's going to come back, especially when, like me, it has already spread once. Apart from the mental side of it, cancer is so hard to get rid of that any treatment that you get is going to mess with your body. Even just surgery to remove a tumour. Like, one of the first things that the surgeon did was remove my lymph nodes. And when they remove anything, you're going, oh, that was part of my body. It had a good reason for being there. And now it's not doing its job anymore. I always assumed that whenever people lost their hair or got tired or were sick during cancer treatment, that once the treatment was done, they would just go back to normal. I didn't know that cancer treatment can have permanent side effects, or side effects that appear years after the treatment has finished. Since I had my lymph nodes removed under my arm, apart from the big scar, which I'm okay with, I also had no feeling in that part of my chest. But probably more important is what those lymph nodes actually did. The ones that were removed, they control the waste fluid coming back from my arm. So some people can develop a condition called lymphedema, where the fluid doesn't drain away and the arm swells up. And that can be triggered at any time for the rest of my life. So for the rest of my life, I'm going to need to wear a pressure sleeve or a compression top, and at any time I might come into contact with bacteria or get overheated or go on an aeroplane. Lymphedema can be triggered if I get a cut in my arm or if I get an insect bite. I can't give blood from that arm, I can't put a cannula into it. Even when I get my blood pressure taken, I need to use the other arm. It hasn't happened, not yet. But it's just one possible side effect that I am always going to need to keep an eye out for. That's just one minor side effect from having a fairly insignificant part of me removed. Learning about side effects that other people have had would frighten you. For example, there's one friend that I have who had radiotherapy for one form of cancer, and that radiotherapy gave her a different cancer. And lots of people develop fatigue that they have to deal with the rest of their life, or headaches, or heart problems, or infertility, or an increased risk of breaking bones. Or there's brain changes that they call chemo brain. It's like a brain fog that makes it difficult for people who've had chemotherapy or other treatments to think clearly. And all of these things can appear years after the original cancer has been dealt with. But here's the thing. These things might happen. They happen to some people. But if I look on the bright side, without treatment, I'm guaranteed a slow, painful death within a few months or years. Anyway, let's continue the story of John's heroic battle against cancer, yada, yada, yada. In the last video, I told you that I had just had surgery to remove lymph nodes, and I didn't know whether there would be any need for further treatment. So, I had my first meeting with the oncology consultant. It went something like this. Chemotherapy really isn't very effective against melanoma. And radiotherapy wouldn't be much benefit now that we have surgically removed the tumour. Given that your cancer was confined to just one lymph node, what we can do is we can just start keeping regular scans in case it crops up again. Now, if you watched that previous video where I talked about prayer, people had been praying that I would get more treatment, but the oncologist hadn't finished talking. Normally we'd leave it there, but there have been some very exciting developments in treatment in the past few years. 5 months ago, we obtained a license to use a new targeted therapy. Now, not everyone is suitable, but we have analysed your cells, and they contain the mutated BRAF gene that's specifically targeted by this treatment. Would you be willing, if that's the direction that we would like to take? Yeah, okay. Actually, I'm not doing the doctors any justice here. First of all, everybody was lovely. Not the stern doctor types that are confident in their own heads that they're the experts and you're the problem that they need to solve. They were the sort of medical team who give us patients gentle confidence and complete assurance that they know what they're doing. And secondly, when my wife Claire and I walked into the room, there was a buzz in the air. They were excited. In the past, they had had to release worried patients to continue self-examining, hoping, praying that we would spot and deal with anything new before it became too serious. Now, there's a medical solution that's proving to offer genuine results in a majority of cases. Think about what they're doing here. They have identified the protein that controls cell division. They've isolated the gene that controls that protein, and they've learned how to mark when that gene is faulty. Then they've developed a series of drugs that target cells containing the mutated gene and leaving the untouched cells, or the normal cells, untouched. This stuff is pushing the boundaries of science, and people like me are reaping the benefits. So this targeted therapy involves me taking a pair of tablets twice a day for 12 months. And statistics show that 70% of people will never be bothered by their cancer again. I bought a portable camping fire pit to celebrate.
Are quiet, the air hangs still. The stars above, they start to spill. I gather sticks, I break the cold. A spark is born, it takes its hold. The crackle speaks, the shadows sway. Night turns to life in its own way. Light the fire, watch it grow. Feel the warmth, let it show. Campfire glow, campfire glow. It knows, it knows. They dance like they're alive. A flicker here, a leap, a dive. Whispers rise in smoky curls. Stories told to the watching world.
Even though this channel is mostly about me having cancer, I need you to understand that cancer doesn't take over your entire life. Also, I had like 8 views on my last video, so nobody really cares what I do. So, to show time passing for that year that I was on targeted therapy, I'm going to break from the cancer story for 1 week And I'm going to try and sort of make a historical documentary about something that interests me, but is completely unrelated to cancer.
Dreams into the night.